Let's discuss the difference between a TENS unit and an electronic collar for dog training. One of them is made for physical therapy, muscle stimulation, and is used by physical therapists, chiropractors, and even personal trainers. The other one is used to train dogs, or according to some people, to shock and intimidate dogs. If you've never felt an electronic collar before, or if you have no idea what it feels like, or if you're wondering what an electronic collar feels like, this is the video for you. If you stay till the end, I'm going to show you the different kinds of e-collars that I recommend. These are the best brands out in the market, and then the best option for your dogs. Okay, let's start with the TENS unit. The TENS unit has contact points. So you have these two pads that go on the skin. Okay, they'll go in a general area. So if I want to stimulate the bicep area, I'm going to put the contact points or the pads around my bicep. You want to put them somewhat close to each other. Now, if you ever felt a TENS unit, you know what it feels like. It gives a muscle contraction. It sends stimulation to that part of the body, and as you go up on the levels, you're going to start to feel muscle contractions. So let's start with that. I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to pick my bicep, and this is the lowest level. I feel nothing right now, so I'm going to go up a little bit more. Very little. I'm starting to feel something now. I'm a little bit higher than the lowest level, so I'm going to go up a little bit more. And I want you to keep an eye on my bicep. You probably can't see anything at the moment. I feel it. It almost feels like, if you've never felt one of these, it almost feels like somebody's just tapping their fingers on your body on a very quick, rapid pace. So I'm going to go a little bit more. Going to go a little bit more. Now I'm getting close to half the potential of the TENS unit. So I'm going to go up a little bit more. Now you can see it. You can feel my arm. Watch my arm. That's the TENS unit. I'm not moving my arm consciously. So if you zoom in, you can see it. So there's a lot of twitching going on there. I'm going to go up a little bit more now. Now it's getting higher. Yeah, so that is what the TENS unit feels like. There's a lot of muscle contraction there. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit just to make it more relatable to what we're going to cover later. So I'm going to put this on my neck. Okay, so now it's on my neck. Now why I'm going to put it on my neck, you'll see in a moment. So now I feel this stimulation radiating into my ear. So as I go up a little bit more, I'm going to go up a little bit more. I'm doing this for science, so you guys don't have to. Whoa, there it is. Yes. So if you saw that, that's what essentially the TENS unit does, is it creates this muscular contraction as the current goes into that area of your body. But essentially the way it works is the contact points or the pads make it possible for this unit to send some current into the pads that will go into the area of the body, and as you saw, it'll create some contractions. Now, the best way that I can describe it, again, it would be if somebody had their fingers on an area on my body and they were doing this quickly. That's almost what it feels like. It's that somebody was just tapping very, very quickly. It feels very, very blunt. Up next, I have the electronic collar. This is also commonly known as the shock collar. If you've never felt one of these and you're wondering, well, shoot, I don't want to shock my dog. I don't want my dog to be in a lot of pain. This is the big hype about the electronic collar. People have demonized this so much because they truly, genuinely believe this is sending arcs of electricity into the skin and it's burning the dog's skin, and nothing could be furthest from the truth. Okay, that's not how it works. You're gonna see here on me, and I'm gonna test it for you so that I can describe it and make the connection to the TENS unit. I'm gonna go to my bicep. Okay, so now I'm gonna start on a somewhat medium level, because that way we're not having to go through all the levels. So I feel it. The technology is very similar. It's not identical, and the reason it's not identical is electronic collar companies patent the stimulation, meaning the way this brand feels will be different than another brand feels. They patent the stimulations to feel very uniquely distinct based on the brand. So it doesn't feel just like I just felt the TENS unit due to my arm, but it is almost identical. If I were to compare this to anything I've ever felt in my life, it would be to the TENS unit. Make sure you share this video with somebody who does not understand what the electronic collar feels like, and you want them to be a little bit more informed. So I'm gonna go up a little bit more. I feel the pulsing again a little bit more. I'm gonna go up a little bit more. And now you could probably see it on my bicep if you zoom in a little bit. So I'm gonna go up a little bit more. I'm doing this for you guys. There you saw that, right? So let's look at that again. Look at my bicep. Very similar to what you saw in the TENS unit. Now if I pull this off, there's nothing there. These little marks are from doing protection training. It has nothing to do with this, by the way. Now I'm gonna go to a different part of my body, again, to make it relatable. Why am I going to the neck? Naturally, we use this on the dog's necks, and I want you to see what it feels like. I want you to see what it does. So I'm gonna go now to my neck, same area that I had the TENS unit on, and I'm gonna start again on a bit of a lower level. So right away, you can actually see what it does, right? You can see, if you pay close attention to this area of my head, you'll notice the contraction there. So that is happening. And again, if I pull this up, there is nothing wrong going on here. There's no burning, there is no scabbing, there is nothing red, nothing. Okay, this is almost identical to the TENS unit. So again, here it is. You guys can see it. Now just a little bit higher. Right? So now we can visually compare the two and go, okay, it's actually very, very similar. The technology is very, very similar. The TENS unit has these pads that have to touch the skin, just like the electronic collar has these contact points that also have to touch the skin. If you like this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. Now, I will add something. If I was feeling a TENS unit for the very first time, and you never told me what the TENS unit was, you never explained it to me, you just put it on me and you just start using it, and you start going up on the levels, it would be weird enough for me to get freaked out, for me to go, I have no idea what this is, I don't understand it. Which is what could happen with the electronic collar on the dog, which is why it's very important for the owner or the trainer to be educated to a degree where we can introduce this in a way that makes sense to the dog. If you had no idea what a TENS unit felt like, I could put the pads on you and I could tell you, John, look, I have this TENS unit. This is what it is. I'm gonna go on a low level and I'm gonna gradually go up to a level that will generate these muscle contractions. Now, if I explain it to you that way and I prepare you for it, you will be in a better position to assimilate the process and go, okay, this is actually not that bad. It does feel very similar to the way you described it. Here's the problem. You can't explain it to a dog. You can't put this on the dog and go, all right, Fido, I'm gonna put this on you. This is what it's gonna feel like. I'm gonna start with a low level, and this is the process. You can't do that with a dog. You can't rationalize that in words to an animal. So what we do instead is we do this on a low level. We introduce it in a way that makes sense to the dog. I usually will pair it up with something the dog understands already, like coming in my direction, or I'll pair it up with something pleasant. So I'll go to the lowest level and I'll use the low level, and I'll pair it up with something good and something pleasant happens when you feel this. And then based on the situation, based on the dog, I might go up a little bit more. That's it. Then the dog understands, okay, this is now familiar. It became familiar because we took our time, because it made sense to the animal. If I went to a high level right away, that might certainly cause a little bit of extra stress that might not be necessary. If you like this video, make sure you share it with somebody who does not understand the electronic collar. Another thing I will add is this. You might have felt an electronic collar before, and you might be thinking, bullshit, I've felt an e-collar before and it feels very unpleasant. It sucks. It feels like a straight up shock. And I will give you this. Some electronic collars are not the best. Okay, as a matter of fact, there are only a few brands, a handful of brands that do feel more similar to a TENS unit. The vast majority of electronic collars, the ones that you see on Amazon, the ones that you will even see at the pet stores, a lot of those don't feel pleasant. They feel very strange. They feel very sharp. There is even an electronic collar that falls under the category of a good brand that still feels a little bit sharp. So on those, you will feel a high level of discomfort, even on the lowest level. The rule of thumb is, if you've only paid less than $100 for an electronic collar, it's a very good chance it's one of these off brands that are not good. And what I mean by that is, they feel unpleasant. They don't feel like what I just felt on this. It doesn't feel anywhere near close to a TENS unit. This is more closely related to the TENS unit. Some of the cheap e-collars that I've tried on myself, they just straight up hurt. So if you felt an electronic collar before and you had a bad experience, I believe you, and you have every right to go, fuck, e-collars just suck. They all suck. It's understandable. You had an experience that was not pleasant with an electronic collar, and the first thing you did is you generalized and you said every single e-collar is bad. But the thing to remember is technology changes, it evolves, it progresses, but additionally, brands made their equipment differently. Again, the electronic stimulation is patented, so they feel uniquely different. I can tell you from experience, this brand feels very, very blunt. Now, some of the e-collars that I recommend are Sport Dog. This is a very nice brand. Now, Sport Dog makes a bunch of other collars. I stick to a few. The ones I stick to are the 425, 825, 1225, okay? And these are, whether they're the X models or the S models, they all feel very, very similar. There are other models that Sport Dog makes, some of which I'm not a big fan of, some of which I've never tried before, so I can't tell you my feedback on those. But Sport Dog is an overall very reliable brand. It's very durable, very stout, and the stimulation on the models that I told you are very, very blunt. They don't feel sharp, they don't feel like a shock. Another brand that is really good out there is e-collar Technologies. Not my personal favorite, but e-collar Technologies is one of those that the stimulation also feels very blunt. It's a little bit more complex to use, but again, it falls under the umbrella of one of these reliable brands. Great customer service, made here in the US, so it's a good brand. Another brand that is known for being reliable is Dogtra. Now, I do not like Dogtra myself, but I am putting it on the list because it is a reliable brand, meaning it's known for being a little bit durable compared to the vast majority of the electronic collars out there. It is known for being consistent. Consistency is key when it comes to electronic collars. You don't appreciate consistency until you actually experience the lack of consistency. Here's what I mean by that. Some of the cheaper e-collars might have 5 levels. And what you'll notice a lot of times is level 1 on those cheap ones, they don't always feel like level 1. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. It's like the electronic stimulation changes from time to time, which is very, very upsetting, very concerning. It shouldn't do that. It should just be level 1. So the fact that there's a bit of a spectrum depending on when you push the button, it's a tremendous lack of consistency that I'm not okay with. But these brands that I'm talking about, they're known for being consistent, meaning level 1 will always feel like level 1. Another brand that is out there is Garmin. Garmin obviously is a household name when it comes to other electronic products, where Garmin bought a company called Tritronics, which was a great brand in the industry. But Tritronics now basically became Garmin. Now the Garmin collars, I have felt them, same thing, reliable, consistent, and the stimulation on them also, depending on the model, they do also feel a little bit blunt, which is a good thing. Now, my ultimate favorite brand is Martin System. Martin System has all the bells and whistles, it's got amazing features, and it is a great option because it offers you various types of training modes to customize your training style. But the one little downside of the Martin System, it is a pricey unit. You definitely get what you pay for. It's an amazing product, but again, it's a little bit on the expensive side, which is great if you're a trainer, if you want to invest in that product for yourself, it's an amazing tool. For your clients, it might be a little bit more than what they need. For my clients, I recommend Sport Dog. The 2 brands that I stick with are Sport Dog and Martin System. Martin System for me and for some of my clients, for the vast majority of my clients, I don't need anything more than just a simple collar, then I'll recommend the Sport Dog.